Alright, what we're going to do here is we're going to create, using an Excel spreadsheet, we're going to create a counseling tracking sheet. So I'll be able to track the hours that I've canceled um, certain personnel, and I can track what events they're being canceled for. Alright, so the first thing that I want to do is this is going to be a monthly track the counseling over several months. So this first sheet down here, I'm just going to double click on that and change the name from sheet 1 to month 1. And the same thing, I'll double click on sheet 2 and change it to month 2 and month 3. Okay, so I'll click back on month 1 and we'll just put a generic 4 weeks in each one of these. So I'll put week 1, go down to about 25, put week 2, go down to 50, week 3, and down to 75, and put week 4. Alright, so what do I want to track? I want to track the date. I also want to track the name of the person being counseled. I want to track what event they're being counseled for, and time in hours spent in the counseling session. Okay, another little trick here is you notice how the typing goes outside of the cell block here. I can actually put my cursor between the two columns and double click on that, and it will auto size to the size of the text that I have there. Alright, so that's what I want on each one of these, so I'm going to actually copy that, copy and paste, or Control V to paste, and go to 51, Control V to paste, and 76, Control V and paste. So I have all of that information pasted. I'll click the escape button and that removes that spinny bar that was there. Alright, so what I want to do is I have a set number of people that I'm counseling. There's 5 specific people that I'm counseling. So I want to create a drop-down list so I don't ever change the name of I don't one time call them Bob, next time I call them Bobby or Robert or whatever. I want the names to be consistent in this list. So I'm actually going to create a data list that that this cell will check against to make sure that I put in the right name. So let's see, I'll just choose 5 names: Bob, Sam, whoops, oh, I want to put it in a right underneath. So Bob, Sam, Jim, John, and Mark. Okay, so there's the list, and that's how I want those names spelled and how I want them to appear consistently throughout this spreadsheet. So now I'm going to choose the cell where I first want that to appear, and I'm going to go to the Data tab. So Home, Insert, all the way down to Data. I'll click on the Data tab, and I'm going to choose Data Validation. I'll choose that first option, Data Validation, and I want to allow a list. So I'll choose from the drop down arrow and I'm going to choose list. And what is the source of that list? I put my cursor in there so the little cursor is blinking, and now I can actually choose the list that I want. So I'm going to click and drag across the names that I have there, and I'll click OK. And now I have a little drop box that contains those names, and those are the only names that will be allowed in this cell. Okay, so I'm going to copy this cell all the way down. So what I'm going to do is grab that little black box at the bottom right corner. I'll put my cursor right there until it turns into a black plus sign. Pull and drag that all the way down, and now I have that drop box in each one of these cells. Okay, event. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll just make this simple. Event 1, oops, event 2, event 3, event 4, and event 5. Same principle. I'm going to put my cursor there under event. Go make sure I'm on the Data tab. Go to Data Validation. Data Validation. Choose to allow a list. Put my cursor in the source and select the list that I want to add. Click on OK, and there it is. I'm going to copy that down, so I click that box in the bottom right corner and drag it all the way down, and now that has been copied all the way down. Time in hours, I'm going to do something specific here, but obviously you can do anything you want. I'm tracking this by percentage of an hour. So, for instance, 15 minutes is 25%, 30 minutes is 50%, 45 minutes is 70%, oh, sorry, 75%, and I'm going to use that trick to copy the pattern that I've established. So I'm going to put my cursor on that bottom right corner, click and drag all the way down to 8 hours, and it should give me 8 hours in 15-minute increments. The reason why I'm doing this is so that when I calculate my data, it's consistent. So one time I'm not typing out 15 minutes, and the next time I'm putting in 15, or the next time I'm putting in 0.25, and then my data won't come out right. But if I force this to do a data validation and look at this list, and these are my only options, then my data is going to come out consistent. So I'll put my cursor right underneath time and hours, go to the data tab, data validation, choose that. I want to allow a list, click on the source, choose my list that's there, and click on OK. And there, it worked. So now I'm going to click and drag that all the way down. So now each one of those should have my option in hours. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight and highlight all of these cells that I've put that formula or that function in. I'm going to right click and copy, and go down right underneath that first cell under name, right click and paste, and it should have copied everything that I did, and it did. There it is. I'll do the same thing. I'm going to go just below week 3 name, right click and paste, and it copied all of those drop down arrows the way I want them. And same thing under week 4, right click and paste. Alright, so all of those should be there. And then what I can do, now that I have all of this, I'm going to click on escape to get that little rotating box to stop. So I want this to be copied under month 2 and month 3. But before I do that, I want to show you something. So let's say as I go through and I find out, oh, you know what, I'm picking up a new person that I'm counseling. It is Jen. So Jen is a new person that I'm counseling, and I add her to the list, but she won't be added over here. So what I have to do is I actually have to add her to the list, but there may be a problem. I might have to go through and copy that several times, but I'll show you a little trick on what you can do. So I'm going to redo just this first one. I'll put my cursor there. I'm going to go to Data tab, Data Validation, just like I was doing this from scratch. And in the source, what I want to do now is add one more person there. And what I can do is I can actually check this, apply these changes to all other cells with same setting. If I check on that, you'll notice that it highlighted all of these cells because it noticed that all of these cells were exactly the same. And because I made the change to this one, I can now check this and make the change to all of them at the same time. I click on OK. Now my drop down arrow consists of Jen, and I'll go to each one of these and see that Jen has been added to the drop down list. And there we go. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is actually copy everything that I have here all the way down to, let's say, what is it, just down to 100. Make sure I've got everything selected. I'm going to right click and copy, and I'll go to month 2, and I'm going to do a little trick here too. I'm going to hold down the shift key and pressed month 3. So now what I just did is I selected month 2 and month 3. So everything that I now do to month 2 is going to be copied in month 3. So if I right click and paste right here at the top, I have week 1, week 2, week 3. All of the drop down boxes should be functional. But also, if I were to click on to month 3, that all of that has been copied too. So that's a quick way of, if you're making copies from one sheet to multiple sheets that you need to copy the exact same thing, That's the way you do it. You would select the first sheet, hold down the shift key, select the last sheet in that series, and then whatever edits you make are going to be consistent across all of those sheets that you selected. Okay, so I'm going to click back on the first sheet, which is month one. I'm going to click on escape, and now I can start filling this out, and I'll do a pivot table to show you some of the information that we can pull. So let's just put, let's start with January 15th, 2012. The next one, let's see, is January 30th, 2012. And then let's say 2/15/2012 to, oh, it went to 29 this month, 29/2012, 3/15/2012, and 3/30/2012. Okay, and I'm just going to randomly fill in some of this information so that you can see what happens when we do a spreadsheet. But obviously, you'd be doing this after each meeting or each counseling session. You would be adding this information. All right, so let's put in a couple that are going to repeat and one that doesn't. Two, two, and let's choose two. And time and hours, let's go. I'm just going to randomly choose some here. And 2 hours. Okay, so now I have some data here, and I can actually pull some information from this, especially when you have a lot of information that's in all of these lists. You can actually use a pivot table to create some charts of the information that you need, or some data sets of the information that you want to pull out. So I'll select that. I'm going to go to Insert, Pivot Table, click on OK, and it's going to create a new sheet because it's checked on New Worksheet. And now I can start pulling information out. So let's say I want to just see the total hours for the whole for the whole counseling session. Okay, so now it's 11.5 hours total. But maybe I just want to see total hours per event. So I'm going to click and drag event and drop it down here into this report filter. And then now I can choose just the specific event. Right now it's choosing all events, but I can say I just want to know about event 1. Click on OK. So 4.75 hours were spent on event 1. I can also choose more than one. If I click this drop down arrow again, choose select multiple items, I can choose 1 and 2. So how many hours were spent on event 1 and 2? And it comes out to a total of 9.5. Then I want to just remove the filter, so I would just select everything, because that's going to choose everything from that filter. And it says, in parentheses, it says all, and it goes back to my 11.5. Now I want to filter by a specific person, so I'm going to take that name and drop it down into report filter. So now I can see, well, how many hours did I counsel Bob? And I'll click on OK, and it shows that I spent 2.5 hours, or sorry, 0.25 fifths, 25% of an hour has been spent counseling Bob, or 15 minutes. I can also choose select multiple. How many times did I counsel? How many hours total did I counsel Bob and Jim? And it's a total of 5. So that's a way of using pivot tables to pull out the information that you want. Oh, one other thing that I want to show you. So I'll come down here to month. Let's say you had a whole bunch of counseling sessions this month. So I'm just going to simulate that. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, I did a cut instead of a copy. So copy, copy, copy. And now, let's see, I just need 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to grab 4 here. Control C, Control V. Okay, so now I'm out of room. But I still have more counseling sessions. So what I can do is I can actually select this last row, right click copy, go to the next one, right click insert copied cells, and it duplicated what was there. And then I could just go in and clear this, just click delete, and it you know takes all the values out of that cell, and I have an extra one there. If I know that there's going to be a lot more coming, I can do the same thing. Oh, well, yeah, I made a big mistake there. Let's see, because I actually added an additional part to the list because this list was too long. So, I think what I would need to do is actually copy those cells there. Let's see if this will work. Right click, copy, and then just put it, right click, insert copy cells, and I want to shift cells down there. Okay, so that did that correctly, but I would probably have to pull it across week 2, because did you notice that? I'm gonna undo that. I did Control Z to undo my last option. So I want week 2 to go down 2, so I'm gonna actually select from here to here, right click, copy, and then go down to the next one, or choose the next cell down, right click, insert copied cells, and I want to shift cells down, and then that pushed the 2 down, but it left everything the same over here. So I can do that again. Right click. Oh, sorry. What am I doing? Okay, select all, right click, copy, go down here, right click, insert copied cells, and shift the cells down, and it just shifted those cells down. So there you have it. That's how you add extra items uh, to your list.